former Anambra State Governor and the Labour Party presidential candidate in the last general elections in Nigeria, Peter Obi has spoken out to chide or rebuke the killing of a police officer, and SuperSports Television reported by Unknown Gunmen along the dreaded and dangerous Ihiala-Orlu road in Anambra State last Tuesday while they were en route to Akwa-Ibom State for the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON qualifier match between Nigerian Super Eagles and Libya Mediterranean Knights that was held last Friday. Ihiala-Orlu road has been like a death trap where unknown gunmen have been killing a lot of travelers, especially security operatives in recent years, which amongst others included the killing of Major Churchill Orji, police escorts of former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, and the killing of military couple at Orlu Forest who was traveling to Nkwere in Imo State for their wedding, Master Warrant Officer Linus Audu and his partner, an army private, Gloria Matthew, alongside military colleagues and family members. Meanwhile, police in Anambra State have rescued 6 journalists who were abducted along the Iseke-Orlu road in Ihiala while traveling from Lagos to Akwa-Ibom State. Incident: 2 SuperSports TV reporters and 1 police officer were killed on Tuesday. The police spokesperson in the state, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, in a statement on Thursday, said joint security forces carried out the rescue operation. He said efforts were ongoing to locate a 7th crew member who remains missing. Nigeria Football Federation confirmed the killing of the journalists on Saturday in a news release. Information gathered on the incident revealed that the bandits opened fire on the bus in which the SuperSport operatives were traveling, with staff and security personnel on board, and the attack immediately resulted in the deaths of a cameraman, a police officer, and the bus driver, the NFF said on Saturday. NFF President Ibrahim Gusau said though Nigeria defeated Libya 1-0 in the Friday encounter in the southern city of Akwa-Ibom, the incident has cast a shadow on the Super Eagles' victory. Yes, we won the match against Libya and took 3 points. But the fact that 3 lives were lost created a situation in which we were unable to celebrate properly, and it hurts seriously to even think back at the unfortunate incident, Gusau said. He recalled Nigeria's long and fruitful relationship with SuperSport, and said the football body shares in their pain and sorrow at this period. Our prayer is that the Almighty will comfort the SuperSport family and the families of the deceased, and also grant the deceased eternal rest, he said while praying for the safe return of 1 person, still unaccounted for. 14 persons were said to have been in the vehicle at the time of the ambush. 8 persons were eventually rescued, 2 escaped on their own, 3 were killed and 1 person is still unaccounted for, the NFV's statement read. We had reported earlier in the year that the Nigerian Army Authority said that a combined team of security operatives in the country have destroyed the dreaded Mother Valley camp, believed to be one of the major headquarters of the Biafra secessionist armed groups, which is about 5,000 feet below sea level, spanning between Osu local government area in Imo State and Ihiala local government area in Anambra State. Nigerian Army attached to the news release pictorial evidences of activities of actions of military troops in the recaptured communities and Mother Valley Forest with signposts showing Lilu in Ihiala. Nigerian Army had said, recalling the commencement of the Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Udoka, or PUK, that started on the 11th of February 2024, the combined JTF troops of NN and NAF as well as personnel of NPF, DSS and NSCDC had cleared and liberated Osu, Eke Ututu, Tango 1 Osumogu, Ihitupa Ihitinansa and Lilu over the last 3 weeks. In continuation of the sustained operations, the JTF-OP-UK troops on the 7th of March 2024 cleared and destroyed the notorious supreme headquarters of the terrorist indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its armed affiliate Eastern Security Network, ESN. The headquarters that serves as the last IPOB, ESN stronghold is located in the Mother Valley and spans Osu and Ihiala local government areas of Imo and Anambra states respectively, is about 5,000 feet below sea level. The well-concealed and forested location affords the terrorists good cover from air surveillance. It also serves as their command and control center and military council headquarters. During the raid operations, the gallant troops encountered, detonated and recovered many command improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and various types of obstacles which were cleared by the determined troops. The troops also came in contact with the terrorists but were subdued with superior firepower, with many neutralized while others with varying degrees of gunshot wounds fled into the bush. Thus, all Ihiala and Anambra are requested to report any strange face in their communities to OPUC by dialing emergency line 193 and press 2 from their phones. In addition to many weapons, equipment, IEDs and stolen vehicles recovered over the last 3 weeks, items recovered in the Mother Valley include 3x G3 rifles, 9x automatic pump action rifles, 7x double-barrel guns, 2x locally made pistols, 2x rocket-propelled grenade bombs, 2x AK-47 magazine and 1x G3 magazine. Others are 26 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 16 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition, 72 pump-action cartridges, 1x chainsaw, 1x laptop, 1x CCTV DVR, 26x CCTV cameras, 17x Balfen radios with batteries and 10 without batteries including their chargers. Also recovered are 6x handheld IEDs, 26x Android phones, 25x normal phones, 1x inverter, 1x SIM card registration machine, 4x POS machines, 3x motorcycle batteries for igniting IEDs, 2x trumpets, 2x Biafra flags, 20x ESN certificates, 2x dairies containing details of ammunition and food supplies, and 2 parts of Biafra Liberation Army uniforms. The joint troops also destroyed about 50 tents in the valley housing the Supreme Headquarters, IPOB, ESN Command and Control Center, Butuzo's hideout and residence, offices, their logistics bases, temples and shrines used for occultic practices, among many other items. The Force Commander, Joint Task Force Southeast Operation Budokar, Major General Hassan Taiwo Dada, wishes to appreciate the incredible cooperation of sister services and other security agencies for the success achieved so far. The Force Commander also enjoins the leaders of all liberated communities to return to their ancestral homes, in place community efforts to ensure that all criminal elements not from the communities are not allowed to return to desecrate their homelands. The JTF-OP-UK will continue to provide all security support to such communities within the ambit of the law. Furthermore, all law-abiding Indibos are enjoined to provide timely and actionable information through OP-UK emergency line 193, then press option 2 to help make the Southeast geopolitical zone a peaceful and conducive environment for socio-economic development to thrive. Peter Obi, while reacting to the killing of the journalist, described gunmen killing in Nigeria as never-ending incident that is getting worse by the day. He said, and in quote, "The never-ending incidents of killings, kidnappings and other violent crimes across the country have continued to be of concern to many. The situation has continued unabated and is worse by the day. Non-state actors have continued to inflict pain and sorrow on families whose loved ones are often kidnapped and sometimes killed in gruesome manners. In particular, I condemn, in totality, the unfortunate killing of some crew members of SuperSports TV, who were attacked in a tragic ambush along the Ihiala-Orlu Road, Anambra State, a few days ago. These media practitioners were on their way to Uyo to perform official duty for their medium and, indeed, the nation when the tragic incident happened, resulting in their death and the kidnap of others. 2 days ago, a few persons were also reportedly killed while some others were injured in a terror attack carried out by criminals in the Agatu local government area of Benue State. These violent attacks, many of which go unreported, have now continued to define our daily existence in our once secure nation. We are gradually losing count of the people who have lost their lives to insecurity in our nation. How much longer do we allow our people to die before we decide enough is enough? I condole with the families who have lost their ones to these recent attacks while praying for eternal rest on the dead and quick recovery for the injured. We are all in this together as a nation and will continue to demand for the security. Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has given more details why it cancelled Super Eagles Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match with the Mediterranean Knights of Libya, explaining shortly after the players returned to Nigeria on Monday evening that the airport officials in Libya showed less respect for the players and delegates, including a top government functionary, the High Court reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, who were among the people kept stranded at the Abraq International Airport. Nigeria Super Eagles, in a news release, stated that the players arrived Kano International Airport on Monday evening after a return flight from Libya that took off around 3:15 p.m. NFF's Director of Communications, Dr. Ademola Olajire, in a point-by-point account, narrated how the anticipated Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match was relegated to a fiasco by Libyan federal authorities and Football Federation. The statement reads, 1. The chartered Valuejet aircraft departed from the Victor Atta International Airport, Uyo, at 11:55 hours on Sunday the 13th of October 2024 and landed at the Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, at 13:10 hours for the completion of immigration formalities and for the aircraft to refuel. 2. The aircraft took off from Kano at 15:18 hours for the 3 hours and 35 minutes flight to Benghazi, Libya, expecting to arrive a few minutes before 8 p.m. Libya time. 3. Just as he was about to commence his initial approach into Benghazi, the captain pilot was instructed by the control tower that he could not land in Benghazi, despite having all the required landing papers and having completed all formalities before leaving Uyo and later Kano, but should proceed to the Abraq International Airport, even though the airport lacked the control navigators for landing at such hours. He complained that he was short on fuel, but his words fell on deaf ears as he was told in stern manner that the directive was from higher authorities. 4. On landing at the Abraq International Airport, in the small town of Labrak, at 19:50 hours, it was clear that the airport was not a well-utilized facility. There were no scanning machines or the usual equipment for this service, and officials had to make do with mobile phones to scan passport data pages. 5. The delegation, which included 22 players and team officials, NFF President Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau, Deputy Governor of Edo State, Comrade Philip Shaibu, a couple of NFF board members, NFF General Secretary, Dr. Mohammed Sanusi, a couple of parliamentarians, a couple of NFF management, a couple of media representatives and a couple of stakeholders, was shown scant respect by the airport authorities who applied court manners and stern tones. 6. It took over 1 hour for the team's luggage to roll through the carousel, despite the fact that the bags and other items had already been hauled from the aircraft immediately on arrival. 7. No official of the Libyan Football Federation was at the airport to receive the delegation, as is the best practice globally. Airport officials could not answer the simple question on where the buses that would take the delegation members back to Benghazi, where the NFF had booked hotel rooms, were. Yet, when delegation members including the NFF president, Comrade Shaibu and Dr. Sanusi attempted to venture outside the airport to ascertain if there were vehicles waiting for the team, they were stopped in the most uncouth of manners by airport security personnel. 9. Calls to the General Secretary of LFF, Mr. Abdul Nasser by Dr. Sanusi yielded no fruits as the former kept promising that the buses would arrive in 10 minutes, which later became 2 hours, and afterwards 3 hours. Later in the evening, it was no longer possible to reach him on phone. Frustrated by this attitude, Dr. Sanusi approached the security operatives to request that the team be allowed to go out and board the buses the NFF eventually hired. This request was rejected with insults. It took the intervention of the NFF dignitaries to prevent what would have escalated into a row, as the NFF president himself was not spared when he held exchange of voices between the security personnel and his general secretary. This aggravated the tension and further frustrated the team. 10 hour after hour, and with mounting frustration, delegation members, particularly the players, grew restless. There was no food or water provided by the LFF, or where to even procure these items, and there was no network or internet connection at the airport. This swiftly increased the level of frustration and anger. 11 at past midnight, it was learned that there had been word from higher authorities. Libya is a jurisdiction governed by two different administrations. A UN-recognized cabinet in Tripoli and a self-imposed team over eastern Libya, including places like Benghazi and Abraq, that the Nigerian delegation should be delayed for minimum of 10 hours at the airport for what the falsely claimed was done to their team in Nigeria. All conversations between the NFF General Secretary and the LFF General Secretary on the march in Uyo, both written text and voices notes, are still in the NFF General Secretary's phone. 12. The NFF team was shocked because the incident referred to in Nigeria was entirely generated by the Libyans. They informed the NFF that their contingent would be landing in Port Harcourt, and not Uyo, only 2 hours to the team's arrival in Nigeria. Despite this, the NFF moved swiftly to get authorities to grant their aircraft movement permit from Port Harcourt to Uyo, but this was jettisoned as the LFF apparently did not cherish the additional fee dispatched by the charter company. They opted to travel by road, refused to use the buses hired by the NFF and instead hired their own, and disrespected advice not to travel by night. When they stuck to their guns to move by night, the NFF provided security. The NFF even provided the team training facility the day after the march and secured direct flight permits from Uyo to Benghazi for the delegation. 13. Infuriated, the NFF president reacted. We anticipated some shocks here given the false account of what happened in Nigeria as narrated by their team captain. But we did not expect these shenanigans. What I am saying is despicable and has no place in the game of football, which is meant to foster excellent relationships among nations and bring peoples from diverse cultures, religious persuasions and economic and political interests together in an ambience of peace and joy. 14. The NFF learned that the Embassy of Nigeria in Tripoli had written, a fortnight earlier, to the authorities in Benghazi that they would want to welcome the Nigeria delegation on arrival. This application was said to have been rejected outright. 15. In a conscious effort to play down their frustration, anger and hunger, players and officials resorted to playing games, listening to music, chatting themselves up, scanning through the airport exit door to see if any vehicles had arrived, and generally looked forward to daybreak, which they hoped would bring much sought-after relief. 16. Many calls were made to higher authorities in Nigeria to apprise them of the situation, and these persons all expressed fears for the safety and security of the team. These fears were real and justified given the plethora of threats thrown by the Libyans on legacy and social media in the days before and after the march in Uyo. At 2 a.m., Captain William Ekong met the NFF president in the company of the NFF General Secretary to inform the president that the team may not be able to go ahead with the march due to trauma, fatigue and body aches that resulted from lack of food, dehydration and very cruel and unimaginable treatment, which had led to some players falling ill. 17. The NFF repeated calls to officials of the Confederation of African Football, Nigeria's FIFA Council member, Mr. Amaju Melvin Pinnick and higher authorities in Nigeria. It dispatched a letter to CAF in which it detailed the antics of the hosts and hoped that the continental governing body would go ahead to punish this rare bestiality visited on the beautiful game. It noted that the Super Eagles had traveled hoping to enjoy a great game of football but had been sorely disappointed and frustrated by the unprecedented level of hostility and poor attitude of the hosts. 18. At daybreak, Mr. Maurice Eromosele, president of the Nigerian community in eastern Libya, arrived with words of empathy from the ambassador of Nigeria to Libya, His Excellency Alhaji Muhammad Muhammad. He expressed shock at the treatment meted out to the Nigeria delegation, who were meant to spend the entire night inside the departure lounge of the Abraq airport. He said His Excellency ordered him to get a few things for the team, and he later returned with plastic bags loaded with croissants and drinks. This served as breakfast for the team. 19. More calls were made and eventually, it was agreed by all parties that the team should not go ahead with the match, but return to Nigeria to await the decision of CAF, who were briefed in detail on the situation with regards to the unplayed match. 20. After spending many more hours waiting for the Abraq airport authorities to sell fuel to refuel the chartered Valuejet aircraft, which was initially proven to be some sort of robotic engineering, the Nigeria delegation departed the Abraq airport, not worth the toga of international, by any scale, at exactly 15:05 hours, bound for the city of Kano, and onwards to the federal capital, Abuja, NFF stated. We had reported that the Super Eagles of Nigeria are set to leave Libya after the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF cancelled 2025 match against the Mediterranean Knights of Libya following allegation of poor reception by the host country when Nigeria players arrived at the Abraq International Airport for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier friendly match. There are reports with videos and photographs posted online that Nigeria's Super Eagles and officials are currently boarding a plane to return to Nigeria from Libya. Reports indicated that despite Patrice Motsepe, the president of the Confederation of Africa Football, CAF's appeal for Nigeria to stay and honor the game, the NFF refused and the friendly match was scheduled to be played on Tuesday. The Nigeria Super Eagles took the decision not to proceed with their Africa Cup of Nations (AFCON) qualifier against Libya's Mediterranean Knights after being stranded for almost 13 hours at Abraq International Airport. The team's frustration grew as they awaited a flight back home, despite efforts by the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) to arrange transportation to the match venue in Benghazi, according to close watchers. The Nigeria Football Federation said it believed that the delay by the Libyan authorities was intentional. A statement by the NFF Communications Department on Monday said the team were left unattended to at the Abraq airport. A video posted by the Eagles media team also confirmed the development, as the players and officials, along with their luggage, were left stranded at the airport, with the Libyan airport officials indifferent to their plight. The Eagles departed for Libya on Sunday morning, ahead of their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matchday 4 clash against the Mediterranean Knights. Libya was to host the 3-time African champions at the 10,000 capacity Matthias of Benina Stadium in Benina, located just 10 kilometers from Benghazi, but reports emerged that they were diverted to another city, according to Channels Television. The chartered Valuejet aircraft was, strangely and in a dangerous manner, diverted to the small airport away from Benghazi just as the pilot was completing his approach to the Benghazi airport. We understand the Abraq International Airport is only used for Hajj operations. Fatigued players and officials have remained nonplussed as the host Libyan Football Federation failed to send any reception team or even vehicles to take the delegation members from the airport to their hotel, said to be 3 hours away in Benghazi. The NFF made arrangements for separate vehicles for the team, but the plan was unhinged by the diversion of the aircraft. The NFF statement reads, NFF added that the players have resolved not to play the match any longer, as NFF officials are making plans to fly the team back home. Nigeria secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Libya at the Akwa-Ibom International Stadium in Uyo on Friday after late hours. Super Eagles of Nigeria are set to leave Libya after the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) cancelled 2025 match against the Mediterranean Knights of Libya following allegation of poor reception by the host country when Nigeria players arrived at the Abraq International Airport for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier friendly match. There are reports with videos and photographs posted online that Nigeria's Super Eagles and officials are currently boarding a plane to return to Nigeria from Libya. Reports indicated that despite Patrice Motsepe, the president of the Confederation of Africa Football, CAF's appeal for Nigeria to stay and honor the game, the NFF refused and the friendly match was scheduled to be played on Tuesday. The Nigeria Super Eagles took the decision not to proceed with their Africa Cup of Nations (AFCON) qualifier against Libya's Mediterranean Knights after being stranded for almost 13 hours at Abraq International Airport. The team's frustration grew as they awaited a flight back home, despite efforts by the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) to arrange transportation to the match venue in Benghazi, according to close watchers. The Nigeria Football Federation said it believed that the delay by the Libyan authorities was intentional. A statement by the NFF Communications Department on Monday said the team were left unattended to at the Abraq Airport. A video posted by the Eagles media team also confirmed the development, as the players and officials, along with their luggage, were left stranded at the airport, with the Libyan airport officials indifferent to their plight. The Eagles departed for Libya on Sunday morning, ahead of their 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match day 4 clash against the Mediterranean Knights. Libya was to host the three-time African champions at the 10,000-capacity Matthias of Benina Stadium in Benina, located just 10 kilometers from Benghazi, but reports emerged that they were diverted to another city, according to Channels Television. The chartered Valuejet aircraft was, strangely and in a dangerous manner, diverted to the small airport away from Benghazi just as the pilot was completing his approach to the Benghazi airport. We understand the Abraq International Airport is only used for Hajj operations. Fatigued players and officials have remained nonplussed as the host Libyan Football Federation failed to send any reception team or even vehicles to take the delegation members from the airport to their hotel, said to be 3 hours away in Benghazi. The NFF made arrangements for separate vehicles for the team, but the plan was unhinged by the diversion of the aircraft, the NFF statement reads. NFF added that the players have resolved not to play the match any longer, as NFF officials are making plans to fly the team back home. Nigeria secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Libya at the Akwa-Ibom International Stadium in Uyo on Friday after late hour strike by Fisayo Dele Bashiru.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.